Hi everyone, it's your favorite Atomic Blonde here with a bit of Pop Chat special. Hey everyone, how you doing? It's been a little while. I've had some weekends away. I was very fortunate to be able to be in Madrid a couple of weeks ago, sort of belated birthday present from January. Oh, absolutely stunning city, beautifully hot. I've brought the weather back with me to the UK, where it's absolutely humid as hell here today, 33 degrees, but kind of overcast. So never even got any sun, typical Britain, but I'm not complaining. I love the heat, bring it on. But what it did do was give me what I thought, 33 degrees might be a good idea to go to cinema for a couple of hours, sit in some air con, and that's exactly what I did. And I went to go see 28 Years Later. So here's my non-spoiler initial thoughts. So I literally watched 28 Days Later yesterday before seeing this. I haven't seen that movie in forever, probably since it came out. Maybe, I'm sure I would have watched it on Channel 4 or something at some point when it was on, but it'd been a really long time, and it wasn't that I didn't remember the story or how it ended, but I think I just really wanted to get more, what was the feel of the original, what was the pace of the original, get re-immersed into Alex Garland and Danny Boyle's world before stepping into this one. And I'm really glad I did, actually. So first and foremost, out the gate, I enjoyed it. I did like it. I think the majority of the reviews I've seen, most people seem to like it. I know some people just found it really boring. But I have to say, I felt I was entertained. I was totally entertained. I think the theme that is coming out from a lot of people is it's not the film that they were expecting from the trailer, which I kind of get. But I think after rewatching 28 Days Later yesterday, the infected aren't in it as much as you remember them being. So there's sort of a few distinct points in 28 Days Later. So spoilers, guys, if you haven't seen it, is 2002. You should have seen it by now. 23 years. Spoiler alert. When the main character, Cillian Murphy, goes into the church, when they're kind of escaping London, or when they find the guys in the tower block and then escaping London, and then the kind of final hurrah with the psychotic army dudes. So yeah, I think the infected are much heavier in 28 Weeks Later. I think that's much more of a traditional zombie adjacent kind of. There's a lot of running around, getting away from the infected in the sequel. So saying all of that, that is to sort of say we do see the infected in this and how they've evolved, and now there's 3 strains of zombies. I don't think it's a spoiler. I think Danny Boyle has said this in his interviews, because at the end of the first film, going into the second film, basically the infected starved to death, and that's how the virus died out, and then it obviously restarted in the second one, as a woman was a kind of carrier for it. So this kind of implies that yes, it did spread to Europe, as we saw in the second film, but somehow, we don't know how, but somehow they managed to contain it and push it back, and now the UK is just one big quarantine zone where they thought, again, they would all just starve to death and die out and life would carry on. But that's not the case. The virus is mutated, so you now got these kind of feral pack led by an alpha, which are much more like the traditional rage infected, that they're just running and tearing things apart. And the alphas have this thing of just ripping people's, animals' heads and spine, a bit like the Predator, where he just sort of rips the head off and the spine. We have these big sort of fat sloth things that just sort of crawl and eat worms and whatever's on the ground, kind of thing. But they do say, look, they are slow, but they're also dangerous. So yeah, so we're kind of introduced to, and then there's these other ones that are just like just really kind of emaciated and wasted away, kind of original OG infected, I guess. So the world building of like what's happened in the UK, how these kind of different factions even of zombies or infected have evolved. We get introduced to this island, and it's connected to the mainline through a causeway. Obviously, at high tide you can't get to it. At low tide you can walk to the mainland, and it starts with like a coming of age thing. I mean, that's where we're introduced to Aaron Taylor-Johnson's character and Jodie Comer and the young lad. So we've got sort of Spike, his father, and his mother, and it's kind of like a rite of passage thing. They get, they turn a certain age, and Spike's 12. It's normally around 14, 15, but his dad's like, oh, he's ready. And the first sort of part of the film is all about him going through his rite of passage and making his first kills. Then it kind of then moves into a very different film, and this is where it's quite like, it's quite a bit of like gore and arrows through the head and eyes and all this kind of lovely kind of zombie-esque type stuff. And then what we see is Spike's mother, who's Jodie Comer, is very ill. And it kind of, so, and Spike hears that on the mainland there's a doctor, or used to be a GP back before the dark days, and he's determined to take his mum to the doctor. Now he's been to mainland, he knows what to expect. He's like, I can get her there. And he basically runs away with his mother to the mainland. A lot of people are talking about the ending, which is, everyone goes a bit bonkers, but I kind of really liked it because, if you're on an island, I mean, we all know we went a little bit stir crazy during COVID, right? We all went a little bit bonkers, and we weren't locked down that long. And so imagine 28 years of complete isolation, no technology. And the thing is, the world has moved on outside of the UK. It's people have iPhones, and it mirrors where we are now. It's just the UK has completely regressed to this kind of medieval-esque kind of point in terms of how to defend itself. And the film's trying, makes it, I think it's more talking about the human condition and how different people react in different ways to certain circumstances, more than a horror film. I wouldn't even class this really as, yes, there is gore when the zombie, the infected are killing, or they're being killed, but it wasn't scary. There's a couple of jump scares in there, but I wouldn't say it was scary. There's a couple of parts where you are holding your breath, like, oh, are they going to get away? What's going to happen? We know from the previous two films, and anybody could be killed, right? Just because there's a prominent character doesn't mean something's not going to happen to them. So you're generally like, it gets you invested really quickly in these characters, and what's going to happen to them, how they're going to get away. So that was like, I really enjoyed that. Like, so the first sort of part of the film, you get right sucked in straight away around these characters and and you care whether they're going to make it or not, And performances are great. Aaron Taylor-Johnson's like, the boy's father. He's not the nicest. He's not a bad guy. He's not like, oh, it's a drop beat, deadbeat dad. It's not that. He clearly loves his son. He's there with his wife, Jodie Comer, but obviously she's very seriously ill. With it's like almost like some sort of mental condition, maybe, or there's something else going on. I don't want to spoil it. So he's you're in a tough world, right? And it's even tougher if you can't lean on your wife, because she's basically kind of in bed and having these episodes. So he's basically finding outlets, shall we say, for stress. And there's an interesting point in the film where he's got a bit of a temper. So you talk about this rage virus and the rage, and and this obviously flashes it in people, and yeah, it's quite interesting, and like how they cut in images of kind of like the First World War, and from films like show medieval times, and how I know we just kind of revert back to what we know. Somehow we just kind of go back to how do we defend ourselves, or what are we almost programmed to do as human beings, you know, and then to survive. I found that really interesting. I really liked that, and how it was all cut in, and we got boots, which we had in the trailer, which was great. I thought the pacing was okay. There's a little bit in the middle where it is a little bit, it's a little bit ploddy when he's trying to get his mother to the doctor. But to be fair, that moves on. As soon as Ralph Fiennes comes into it, he's great. It just picks up again. But there's a tiny little bit in the middle, probably about 10, 15 minutes, where it's a little bit, okay, where are we going with this? But overall, the pacing is pretty good. I mean, again, when I watched 28 Days Later, I'd completely forgotten that's like over 2 hours, that film. And this is 2 hours. So again, some people say, oh, it's long, but it's like the same length as the original. So I don't know. It didn't feel like 2 hours. It went really quickly. The performances are great. The young actor who plays Spike, the young boy who's, he's sort of coming of age child, really, is phenomenal. He's really good. Again, the mum's no sort of girl boss or anything like that. It's actually quite a heartfelt, you know, performance. And say, but I will say, if you're going into this wanting a real gory, jump scare horror film, this isn't going to tick the box for you. I don't think. There is gore, there is jump scares, but it's not wall to wall. It's not like the second one at all, which is good because that didn't really do that well. But if you like a bit more considered, thinking about, you know, the people, the characterization, what's the world's become, what are people's motivations, and the blood and the guts, this is definitely going to be for you. You know, it will make you sort of sit and think. But as I've completely digressed, I'm about to talk about the end. So I don't want to give spoilers away, but it does completely loop back to the beginning of the film, which you would have seen in the trailer, where we start off with the kids in the lounge, and then we're watching the Teletubbies that was in the trailer. That's where the film starts. So it is good. It's a jumping off point that if you haven't seen the first two films, you can just get into this film. It does sort of explain a little, you know, about the sort of rage virus, or you see what the rage virus is. So if you've got no idea, you could just jump straight into this film. And it loops right back. And there's these crazy guys in tracksuits. That's all I really want to say about that. But what it does do, and I know some people didn't like the ending, but personally, it's like I say, it put a smile on my face, and I was just like, wow, where is the sequel going? So the next one is 28 Years Later, The Bone Temple, which is coming out next year. Bit of nervousness around the director, who does not have a great track record. Is anybody had misfortune to sit through the Marvels? But I don't know if Alex Garland wrote the second one as well. If he has, I've got more confidence if she's just directing it. But if she's written and directed it, it could go anywhere. But the ending was just, but yeah, it is a very much, this film is setting up the sequel. It's not really a contained story. So again, if you don't like that, this will probably annoy you. But I have to say, I was entertained for 2 hours. I really was. And again, probably wasn't 100% what I was expecting. But I was pleasantly surprised, because nobody wants a rehash of the first film. The zombie genre has been done to death. This is actually something going in a bit of a new direction, I guess. Yes, we have sort of seen, I guess, through like The Walking Dead and stuff, that the zombies can evolve and things like that. Probably a bit more like, I guess the zombies in this are a bit more like World War Z or Z, that they are fast, but again, they're not dead. You know, it's like, so when you die with a rage virus, it's not like you're reanimated. So these are human beings who have their bodies just been taken over by this virus, and all they want to do is kill, basically. And how this virus is mutated, which we know that's what viruses do. So yeah, I mean, it's completely open going into the sequel. We know Cillian Murphy's character from the first film comes into the sequel, and apparently the third film is like his film, which they're still trying to get funding for at the moment. So I guess if this one does well, they're more likely to get their funding for the third one. I, for one, really hope that we get the trilogy. There's nothing worse than when you start investing in something and it doesn't get finished. Hopefully, the promise of Cillian Murphy will be enough. But I would recommend go in with an open mind. Just sort of go, okay, I don't have any preconceptions about what this film may or may not be. But like you say, I think if you like characterization, good acting, good storytelling, it's a beautiful film. I mean, the fact that most of it was shot on iPhones is like, wow. And I hope that really fuels imagination and gets, young creators out there to go, wow, if you could make that with an iPhone, what could I make? It's I think they did use other cameras as well, but predominantly you can see it's like some sort of drone shots, but predominantly it was iPhone, and it looks stunning. I mean, obviously they filmed in the northeast and in Scotland, so beautiful countryside. But yeah, all I can say really is I enjoyed it. I really did enjoy it. I'd definitely watch it again, and I'm completely in for the sequel. So I'm just hoping beyond hope that they do a good job with it, because I say the people kind of involved, it's not Danny Boyle, makes me nervous. But the characters we were introduced at the end, this sort of tracksuit-esque Jimmy Savile group, who, yeah, I don't know, bonkers, but I kind of love it. I just felt like I was just, it just wasn't a retread. It wasn't a rehash of the first two films. And I guess that was kind of the only thing I was a bit like, please just don't let it be that. And it completely wasn't. So I think overall it's been well received. I say a few people found it completely boring. I don't know how, but fine. I guess if you don't go in with an open mind and you just want gore, this is not the film for you. Really not the film for you. So, but yeah, if you want a little bit more thoughts behind your gore, this is your film. So, as ever, I'd love to know what you think. Have you been to see it? Are you planning on seeing it? Did you find it boring? Love to know why you thought it was boring, if that's the case, or if you enjoyed it. What did you love about it? So, yeah, great to be back, guys, talking about, say, another great film. I will try and be back soon. Hopefully there'll be a few more things to review. And yeah, my July is looking a lot better in terms of time to come and talk to you guys. So as always, great to be chatting with you all. And yeah, so please do like, share, subscribe. Yeah, I'm sorry I've been away for a little while. Hopefully be back and chatting about pop chat and pop culture, this bonkers world that we call pop culture. So you all take care now, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.